fiscally conservative. I'm talking about dramatically lowering your taxes. Do you understand? Once you fix a problem, you don't need to keep pouring money into the problem. Okay, but as we all know, there's all these jobs now that revolve around the problem persisting. And if the problem goes away, guess what? All those jobs go away. Do you see what they've done to us? Do you know how many people are employed in the social welfare industry? If there was no more poor people, do you think a child can't understand these things I'm saying? This dubious war industry. If there was no more dubious war getting started out there, what in the hell do you think would happen? Okay? What do you think would happen? What would happen to all those jobs? Do you understand? Do you get if a problem is solved? Do you get if you just ended desperate poverty? Do you know what would happen to crime? Do you know if we gave a basic income, we could dramatically lower your taxes, just the amount of taxes you're paying to support the criminal industrial complex, all those people working in the jailing industry and in the court system, in law enforcement. Do you understand? Get it? A child can understand it. So unless you're being intellectually dishonest, you too understand these things I'm saying. And remember, you're going to have to stand before your owner. You're not going to have to stand before me. But you will stand before the one that owns your soul, that will decide where it goes from here. Do you get it? What do you think would happen if we ended poverty in the financial services industry? Okay, they'd all be rendered irrelevant. Nobody would need to borrow their crap, to rent their crap. We'd own our own crap. Money, that is. So, folks, I'm sorry. You know what? We are so screwed. We are in so much trouble. It's just like one big family, right? And we know our parents are coming back. Sooner or later, they're going to come on, check on the welfare of their kids. They went out to dinner, whatever, went out to a movie, and they left the older kids, the more experienced, wiser kids in charge of the younger ones. Okay? And they're coming back. And I'm just in the house, this big fat house. I'm trying to scream and yell and tell you, they're coming back. You're going to be held accountable. In your right mind, you'd want to be held accountable. It's a good thing. It's like your conscience. It's like the way that God made our bodies to feel pain. Why did he do that? You say, well, that was a stupid thing to do. I mean, I often think he should have made our teeth out of titanium. Who the hell needs their teeth rotten out of their head? Titanium, that'd last, hundreds, thousands of years maybe. Would never need to go to the dentist. So I've got my issues, but I understand the original sin and what got us into these bodies of death. But you get what's going on here, that we're going to give account. And in your right mind, if you really think this through, you want to give account. You want your parents to come home and you want to answer. You want to say, look, I tried everything I could to get through to them. But they wouldn't listen. They're rambunctious. They're not caring. They're fighting with each other over, whatever it is. And, in this case, of course, it all has to do with money, the root of all evil, that they love money. So that's what they're fighting about. One guy said he stole my allowance money, and they're fighting about it. And, this or that, or he's gambling, and I lost this money, and he cheated, though. They're fighting. They're fighting about money in this household, whatever. And so you want to be held accountable. You want to be convicted by the Spirit of truth. When you hold your hand over a stove, you need to feel pain, or else what? If you didn't feel anything, guess what you'd have? You'd cremate your hand. You wouldn't have use of your hand anymore. So you understand why you want a conscience. It's the same thing with your conscience. If you just decide, it's irrelevant, I don't have any use for a conscience, it doesn't pay my bills. So you love money more than you love your conscience, your integrity, your honor, your soul. Basically, it comes down to that. You love money more than you love your soul. And you see no pertinence. You don't believe in God, so you don't believe you're ever going to have to give account. You don't want to give account. You'd sever your conscience from your essence if you could, because it just nags at you day and night, and you want nothing to do with it, or any a-hole out there that would tell you that you should care about your conscience and your soul. You just write them off. So you condemn guys like me telling you should care about your soul. So I'm just saying that we've got to see this thing in the right light, that our parents are coming back, and God Almighty is like our parents. The first chapter of the Bible establishes that we, that's God, is a we, created them, that's in his image and likeness, their image and likeness, her image and likeness, male and female, they created us. Okay? God is male and female. God is one, but God is also two. It's not inconsistent, but it makes a lot of sense. This is the way we're created. And he made it a very beautiful thing to procreate. He gave us a taste of why he did it. He made it feel really good. It was a really, really good, beautiful thing. Like you all think about your children, right? A very good, beautiful thing. Like he thinks about his children. And what your will is for your children is an instinct he put in you. Okay? So he's the giver of that instinct. What do you think he wants for you? What do you think he wants for me? What do you think he wants for all of his children? He wants the very best for all of them. End of story. So, we've got to get it. And if we don't get it, then, we're screwed. And, we're going to answer someday for being nobodies, for not having any substance to who we are. If we lie to other people, we're lying to ourselves. And to the degree that we do that, that's how lost in space we are. That's how much of a nobody we are. And we need to talk things over with our owner, with God Almighty. And, if we don't give a crap about other people, then why should we expect God's going to give a crap about us on judgment? Well, take it easy on me, God. Give me some slack. I mean, you understand I was living under the gun. I was under a lot of fear and insecurity, and I believe my own self-interest were at stake if I believe the way this clown is telling me. I mean, it's so egalitarian. It's so liberal. But yet I've got to admit it's really conservative. It's very conservatively, it's prudent. In terms of, lowering your taxes, okay, it makes a lot of sense. It's logical. It's reasonable. You can do the math and prove what he's saying. It makes a lot of sense. So, but I was still, God, please, you see, he's not going to buy a lot of psychobabble rattling around in my head, your head, his head, her head, or anybody else's head. If you want some substance, if you want to feel deserving and worthy to go to a better world from here, okay, this is your window of opportunity. To be somebody real, to really say, I'm going to stand in front of my Maker, and I'm going to say, I've been zealous for righteousness and justice to be the rule of the day in the land, to lay all my cards on the table, to say, yes, I want total fairness. I want freedom for everybody, not some, not a select privileged few as it is now, okay, and all those collusive special interest groups that are working with that select few. Remember the grand puppeteers, these evil-doing freaks, these hypocrites to the nth degree. These are the ones in charge that have been calling the shots for thousands of years. This crap's been going on. We are entrenched in it. We are mired in it. We are marinated in it, man. And you got to get it. You better get it before it's too late. That's my advice to everybody, is get it before it's too late, and that might be today. So when it comes to changing your philosophy and your credo, if you haven't prescribed to the right one, I strongly suggest you do. Tap into the Spirit of truth. Say, God, I want my opinion about this or that controversial subject to be your opinion. Give it to me. And there's no risk of losing your individuality. That's absurd. Just because we're all God's servants, so what? We're all individual and beloved in an individual manner as God's servants, as his friends. That's what it comes down to. And remember, you can't serve God without serving his children. And if every snowflake is individual, scientifically provable, then every single person is vastly more individual. You're never going to lose your individuality. Okay, it's not like we're all putting on a same uniform and got to do the same things and prescribe to the same theology and religion and all that. No, if your heart is pure, it's pure. Whether you're an agnostic or a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew, it's the same thing. You're in the same family that's willing to live at peace and harmony and safety and security with your fellow human being and do what God says to do. Adopt and embrace the opinions he wants you to have. And they're not hidden. If they were hidden, then you couldn't follow his rules. You couldn't reflect him properly. You couldn't represent him properly. You couldn't mirror him properly. Do you understand? So, a child can understand the stuff I'm trying to convey, folks. And that's a very important part of what I do is just, emphasizing the simplicity of what I'm trying to convey. All right, I'm going to go on to some of the recent current events, and I just want to start with that horrific limousine accident My opinion is that, look, the coroner needs to look at the carbon monoxide level in these people's blood, okay? And figure out if they weren't all dead before that thing crashed and the driver was just the last one to go, maybe. Okay, because that's the only way I can explain this thing logically. In physics, it just doesn't make any sense that everybody on board would be killed in this miner basically going into the woods, even at high speeds. It doesn't make any sense that everybody died. So they've got to look into that. But you won't hear it from mainstream media because we know that Ford is one of their big sponsors.